welcome back. It is the Vegas Take. Sharp and Shapiro, glad you can join us on a Tuesday. By the way, we have some tickets to give away this hour and next hour. I got a $100 gift certificate to Beef, Booze, and Broads. God, I just love saying that. That is Oscar Goodman's Steakhouse, a one-night stay at the Plaza. We got some you got some tickets to give away, so stay tuned for that. We've been covering this story for the last several days and last week. It is the Amber Guyger murder trial. She fatally shot Botham Jean in his apartment last year. This is a former Dallas police officer who went into an apartment that she thought was hers, kills this individual, calls 911, seemed to be more concerned about her job and her own status than a man dying right in front of her. But I said this all along, that this has nothing to do with race. This woman, her history, nothing, no racist stuff, nothing on social media. She had never, treated somebody the wrong way as far as a minority, as a police officer. So that's why I said all along, this has nothing to do with race, and I compared this to a DUI, where you do something really dumb, you get into your car drunk, and then, oh my God, then you kill somebody. It's not like you woke up that morning and said, hey, I'm going to kill an innocent person today. That's not what drunks do, or 99% of them, I would think. And same thing in this case. It's not like she woke up and she said to herself, you know what? I'm going to kill an innocent man today. I'm going to go into a random person's apartment and shoot somebody. No logical person would believe that. And I believe her when she says she thought she was going into her apartment. Now, I think she's an idiot. She's a moron. She's selfish, and I would call her some other things on the air, but I can't because there's some FCC rules. But she's an ignoramus, and she's extremely selfish. Sounds like many of the women I've dated in Las Vegas. But anyway, horrible joke. But no, in all seriousness, I don't think she deserved to be convicted of murder. And the reason why I say that, and listen, make no mistake about it, I don't feel sorry for this woman. Not at all. If she goes to jail for 10, 20, 30 years, I'm not going to feel sorry for her. You know who I really feel sorry for? That young man who lost his life, his friends, his family. Those are the people that I feel sorry for, make no mistake about it. So I don't want you calling in saying, oh, it sounds like, you're feeling sorry for this woman. No, I don't. But I don't think that it was the right conviction. I don't think she should have been convicted of murder. Manslaughter would have been fine. You cannot convince me based on the evidence. You can't, that this was anything sort of premeditated and that, it was murder. Yes, I do think it was accidental. But, a DUI, a driver is not trying to kill somebody, but because of their horrible judgment, breaking the law, getting into a car while intoxicated, you kill somebody. It's not murder, but it certainly is manslaughter, or you could call it involuntary manslaughter. The same goes here. So why do I say that race is a factor? Why do I say now that race is a factor? Well, I'm going to tell you this on the radio right now, and this is how I feel. I believe if this young man, Botham Jean, was not black, I'm not sure she would have been convicted of murder. And the reason why I say that is I think there's a lot of pressure in this day and age when a white cop kills an African-American to make a conviction. And I personally believe that if she shot somebody who was not a minority, I don't think she would have got a murder charge. In fact, I'm not even sure that this would have made national news. I'm not sure. It's certainly a unique story, tragic story. It's a unique story because where do you hear about somebody, a law enforcement, going into an apartment thinking it's their apartment and killing somebody? It never happens, right? But it reminded me a little bit about Botham Jean. If you know that name, that is a former UNLV basketball player who had just gotten an NBA contract. He was intoxicated. He went into an apartment that he thought was his, trying to find his daughter, and he gets shot and killed. And the reason why there were no charges there because he's the one who broke in. Well, make no mistake about it. Amber Guyger's the one that broke into the apartment. She shouldn't have been there. She broke the law. But yes, I personally believe if this man was not an African-American, I'm not sure she would have been charged or convicted, rather, of murder. And I think it's wrong. And there are a lot of, I call it the injustice system in this country, right? I don't think she deserved to be charged or convicted of murder. If you want to give her 3 to 5 years for manslaughter, fine. But I understand why this man's family feels the way they do, and I feel horrible for them. But this was the wrong conviction. Based on the evidence, I'm clearly basing it on the evidence and nothing else. Immediately when she calls 911, yes, she was selfish. She was talking about she was going to lose her job and all that. You could tell based in her voice, she thought it was her apartment. She made a horrible mistake, and she knew it right away. Right away, she knew it. Now, she could face up to 99 years in jail. You cannot tell me that she woke up in the morning wanting to kill an innocent person. I'm sorry, you can't convince me of that. We'll take some phone calls at 257-5396, 702-257-5396. We're talking about this Amber Guyger situation where she has been convicted of murder. And I truly believe if this poor innocent man that she killed was not an African-American, I'm not sure she would have been convicted of murder. What do you guys think about that? Give me a call, 257-5396.
Yeah, it's interesting. One of the main causes was the fact that there was a floor mat on the ground and it was red. And she doesn't have a red floor mat in her house. Yeah. Who's to say that she actually saw the floor mat when she walked? Who's to say she was looking down when she walked in?
She clearly didn't, obviously.
Clearly, she walked in, she saw someone sitting on her couch that she thought that she was in her right apartment. She wasn't. And one thing that was just brought up to me is if this jury isn't Caucasian, if this jury is made up of is African American, or if it is ethnically mixed, it could have an actual effect on her sentencing.
Reportedly, 5 black jurors, 5 Hispanic / Asian, and only 2 whites. Now that comes from
that's ridiculous.
The victim's family attorney.
That's absurd, by the way.
So
that's ridiculous.
If that's true,
well, I don't think she got a fair trial. And I'm not feeling. But if that's true, you have 10 minorities and 2 white people. Well, what did you think was going to happen?
It could change the dynamic. I mean,
absolutely.
Just because somebody is black doesn't mean they're going to side with, the prosecution.
Ask the OJ.
Case,
ask the OJ jury how that turned out.
You do have to think about that.
Absolutely.
That is absolutely the first thing that comes to mind.
Absolutely. That's a good point, though. Wow, that's interesting. 257-5396 is the number to call. What do you think about this? Let's go to Michelle first. Michelle, what's going on?
What's up, Michelle?
Hi. I have a question for you. I was following the case, but I came in, at the 11th hour on it. Can you tell me then, how did she get into this guy's apartment?
Yep, good question.
Her key would not have fit.
Correct. The door was, unfortunately, and this might have been, part of the demise of Botham Jean, and God, it's horrible, but he left the door open. The door was open, but what's really weird about this is apparently he was playing music. All the guy was doing was eating ice cream and smoking weed. I mean, that's all the guy was doing, and then he's dead. But yeah, Michelle, the door was open. So she walks in. Yeah, that's obviously if the door was locked and she broke into the door,
that's a whole different conversation.
A whole different conversation.
Right. Yeah. And I agree with you. I don't and I'm a black woman, let me just full disclosure. Mm-hmm. But I don't think it's murder, but I do think involuntary manslaughter.
Absolutely.
100%.
And probably the maximum. Let her serve the maximum, whatever that maximum sentence is.
Which is what, 5 to 10?
Let me just comment on your last statement with the last caller is that the reason this is a race issue is because, and it involves the white cop, is because too many times we have seen video evidence where some people try to tell you, I'm not looking at exactly what I'm looking at. Mm-hmm. And unfortunately, we have a few cases where you're on the ground, you're not a threat, and yet you shoot me 6 times.
You're right. Okay, so Michelle.
That's murder.
Michelle, you're 100% right. I agree with you. Now, you did say a few cases. However, I will say this. One shooting is too much, right?
Correct.
But in many, not all, Michelle, and you can tell me if you disagree or not, but in many of these officer-involved shootings, whether it's a white or a black man, whatever the case may be, it usually comes down to noncompliance, right? The man or woman who is shot is not complying with the officers.
You are 100% correct.
Not all the time, but
not all the time.
Right.
Not all the time.
Right.
But you are 100% correct.
Probably 90% of the time. That's
more
the
than
situation.
90%. More than 90%.
It's pretty consistent.
Yep.
Here's so interesting thing. I'm on my Facebook right now, and every single African American friend that I have, roughly, is responding to this and saying, this is the right decision. This is the correct move.
Yeah.
She should be given.
Oh, it's ridiculous.
The maximum sentence. Murder one should be the charge.
It's ridiculous.
And that is to me that's a real problem with our country.
Michelle, by the way,
it's a real problem because they're thinking emotionally. That's
exactly.
the problem.
Michelle, you sound like a very smart woman, and thank you for being intellectually honest with us. I wish all of our callers were as smart as you, to be honest with you. Thank you for the call, Michelle. We really do. We appreciate that. Thank you.
Brian and JD, just to piggyback on that just for a second here, the jury had to decide between murder and manslaughter. Those were the two.
Yep.
And the judge said if you're torn between the two and you can't decide, you go with the lesser. They went with murder, and it took them a matter of hours. They started deliberating yesterday afternoon. They come back first thing almost this morning with the murder. So this jury was pretty convinced that this was murder. This is the way they were going to go.
They were ready to go.
Find me 8 or 9 white people on a jury with a couple African Americans. Let's see if the verdict is the same. I can guarantee it wouldn't be. 257-5396. Let's go to Dante. Dante, what's going on?
What's up, Dante?
Okay, this is what's going on. So, check this out. The guy's sitting out eating ice cream, smoking weed. She comes in. She sees, first of all, there's a doormat in front of his apartment. She doesn't have one in front of hers. Okay? She comes in. Guarantee if he's a white boy, she don't shoot him.
I disagree.
Okay.
Where's the evidence to back that up?
Oh, okay, check this out. This is a fear of a black man theory, okay? And this happens all the time. Okay, so when a white cop who's not used to having interactions with black people, they're fearful.
Okay, so let me ask you a question, Dante. Let me ask you a question. This is a woman who has no history of being violent or acting improper towards minorities. This is a woman who has no history. So you're saying she broke into his apartment because he was black. How did she know that?
No, that's not what I said.
And
that's
she
not
didn't
what I
break
said.
in. She
What I'm
walked
saying
in.
Right.
This is what I'm saying. Hold on. Let me just get this clear. This is straight. No, she didn't break into his apartment. She thought that apparently somehow she was going into her apartment. But what I'm saying is, if she's a police officer, she's supposed to be somebody who protects and serves. Why would you come in? The door was ajar.
Right.
You notice that you don't see any signs of anything that's awkward. But once you go in,
right,
you see this black guy sitting down.
Mm-hmm.
Apparently, the autopsies proved that he was sitting down,
right,
or about to get up.
Well, Dante, Dante, I agree with you. Listen, I'm not here to feel sorry for her. I mean, I'm
not saying that.
Yeah.
I'm saying the verdict of murder was appropriate because she intentionally meant to kill, just like the officer.
So here's what it comes down to, Dante. You don't believe her this is what it comes down to. You don't believe her when she said she was in fear of her life and she was scared. That's what this comes down to.
No, they all say that. Every police officer, even the 2 cops that killed that 12-year-old kid in Ohio. The kid, they said they're always that's the standard.
Listen, Dante, here's the thing. You might be right. You might be right. I don't know what's in her heart, and I don't know exactly what she was feeling at that time.
It's just the truth.
I don't know.
Have we ever heard in the last, say, 5-10 years, a black police officer killing a white kid? Never.
That's not true. No, that's not true. There have been officer-involved shootings. You can look it up where there have been African American.
I'm talking about something that made the news or something.
Well, we've never heard any case like this before.
That doesn't happen for a reason. Those cases they're not sensationalized for a reason.
Yeah. Well, Dante, Dante, I respect your opinion. You eloquently stated your opinion. We disagree, but you might be right. I don't know what's in her heart. I'm just saying I disagree with this judgment. Here's what we're going to do. We got to take more of your calls. Evelyn, John, Andrea, Kevin, Kay, we're going to get to all your calls when we come back. I want to hear from you. What do you think about this conviction of murder? We'll take a break. Be back right after this. You are listening to The Vegas Take. All right, welcome back. It is The Vegas Take. Sharp and Shapiro. Is that a song or is that just people screaming? I don't know what that was. Anyway, welcome back to the show.
I've been watching this show about haunted houses called The Haunting of Hill House.
I don't know what the hell that was.
It reminds me of that music.
I don't know what the hell that was, but I don't want to hear that ever again. Anyway, welcome back.
That was the worst thing ever.
Welcome back to The Vegas Take. Sharp and Shapiro. We're obviously talking about this situation with Amber Guyger, the former Dallas cop who walked into an apartment she claims she thought was hers, kills an African-American male. I thought she was going to get manslaughter, maybe even involuntary manslaughter. I consider it the same as maybe a DUI. Instead, she has been convicted of murder, could spend up to 99 years in prison. I said this did not involve race. Now I'm changing my tune.
And I believe that the death penalty is in Texas, right?
Well, she's not going to get, she's not going to get, she faces up to 99 years in prison. She's nowhere near the death penalty. They're not seeking that. That would be a travesty. But you had 5 black people that were on the jury, 5 Hispanics that were on the jury, and 2 Caucasians. That's absurd to me. I don't feel sorry for this woman. I feel sorry for the man who lost his life and his friends and family, but this is not justice. This is not, in my opinion. But, hey, we're taking your calls on this at 257-5396. Why don't we start off with Evelyn? Evelyn, thanks for calling in. What do you think about this?
Hi, thank you. Well, you see, what I think they took a lot of factors into consideration here. A main factor that I believe is that, upon entering the apartment that she assumed was her own and seeing this man, first of all, it's filled with weed in the room, and he's smoking weed and eating ice cream.
Right.
What threat does that really pose to anybody, especially an officer who's trained to know people? So when you first walk in, if you're afraid, wouldn't you back out and walk out first? I mean, even just retrace all of your thoughts and look around, see your environment as an officer. You have extensive training about how to view a situation, how to perceive it, and how to respond.
Well, you make valid points there, Evelyn. Don't make no mistake about it. But this is the question you have to ask yourself, and I'm sure you have. Did she go in there wanting to just kill an innocent person? I have trouble saying yes.
That would be difficult. One would have to take into consideration, where was the man's apartment located in conjunction with her apartment? Where was her apartment located?
My understanding, I'll give you the answer to that. My understanding is she was on the 4th floor. This was on the 3rd floor. She's claimed that she thought she parked on the 4th floor. This is the exact same area where her apartment is on the 4th floor, only it was 1 floor down. Now, you make no mistake about it, Evelyn, you make a lot of good points there. The doormat situation, the smell of weed, music, all that stuff. She's an idiot. At the very least, she is a complete moron.
Yeah, and she deserves she deserves to spend some time in jail. We're not arguing that.
But murder.
Absolutely. I have to question myself whether or not this was a person that was a nuisance to her. Whether or not she had an extremely long shift and she was irritated and possibly fed up with this man.
Well, she was distracted.
Possibly took action into her.
She didn't. Well, those are valid questions, Evelyn. But I will certainly say this, and that is the fact that she had no relationship with this man. No relationship at all. And, she had worked a very, very long shift, and that was another issue that we had. And we appreciate the phone call. Thank you for the call, Evelyn.
Call again.
Appreciate that. 257-5396 is the number to call. Let's go to Kay. Kay, thanks for calling in. What's on your mind?
Hey, Kay.
Yeah, I'm just calling because I find it kind of puzzling that you guys are both appalled that the jury was made up of 5 black women or men, 5 Hispanics, and 2 white people.
Appalled is a very aggressive statement. We didn't use that word.
It was absurd.
Well, here's why I say that. Would you like to hear my explanation of that?
No, I'd like to ask my question.
Okay, well, where's your question?
Said it was absurd. You said it was absurd, and then you said...
I'm waiting for a question. I'm waiting for a question.
You said you guarantee that if the jury was made up of white people, there would have been a different outcome.
That's my opinion. I feel the same. I feel the same way about the O.J. Simpson trial. If those were white people, O.J. would be in jail right now.
So the question is, I'm wondering how it is that you can't see the race issue when black people are tried in jury trials in America. Their jury is. You're
absolutely right. First of all, you might be surprised at my answer, Kay.
Okay.
You're 100%. Hold on, let me finish. You asked me a question. Now let me answer it.
Convictions be overturned or appealed based on alone the ethnic makeup of the jury.
Okay, I'm going to try to answer your question, and I agree with you. I think every jury should be equal as far as race is concerned. That way, it would not be an issue. If there is a black person,
a jury that cares.
Okay, if there is here's the deal. Okay, I'm going by the evidence in this case, and I'm talking about this specific case right now. And by the way, you're right. I believe, there are many instances, sadly, where an African-American is put on trial, and there's too many white people, perhaps, on the jury. And because of that could be a reason why he got over-sentenced or maybe even found guilty. I agree with you. But I'm talking about this specific case, and I am basing it, Kay, on the evidence. I do not believe race was a factor in this case. However, when you have an African-American that was killed by a white police officer, and you have 5 people on the jury that are black, 5 people on the jury that are Hispanic, and 2 white people, you cannot sit here and tell me that 100% is not a factor. You can't.
It that is 100% a factor. And just as you are upset about the OJ case, the jury pool is informed by the temperature of the time. And whether it happens statistically the way people put it on the news or not, the sense is that too many police are getting away with being executioner, judge, and jury, specifically for, like you said, non-compliance. So if the jury is informed by what they see in context all the time, that may have been a factor here, and you might be right about that. But you cannot ignore that.
How am I ignoring that the race isn't a fact? Of course, I call it
this is about race, not about race. It is about race. It's about the fact that finally there's justice.
It shouldn't be about race.
Hold on a second. Kay, you believe that this woman woke up and wanted to kill an African American that day? Is that what you believe?
Because that's what murder one is.
The only thing that I know is that if she was so impaired, then she should have left her weapon somewhere where she couldn't make a fatal mistake.
So you think there is 0% chance that she was scared?
Your own apartment, you have to break into that apartment.
Listen, first of all, the door was open. Okay, the door.
Broke into that apartment.
Okay, she didn't break in, but she did go into an apartment that was not hers.
Okay, so you think that if there was a 250-pound, 45-year-old white guy on the couch eating ice cream and smoking weed, she wouldn't have shot him? Okay.
If she believed it was her home, which I don't believe she did.
So would she have shot that guy or not?
I think the jury.
Would she have shot that guy or not?
Listen, I think the jury, just as a lot of other people who have been following this case, thought she knew where she was at and tried to claim she didn't know where she was at.
I mean, it's not like she was at a different apartment complex. She was one floor below.
Kay, you just said something that I could not disagree with more. You're saying that you believe that she knew where she was at, that she intentionally went into another person's apartment to kill somebody? That's ridiculous. There's no evidence to support that.
And Kay, you're making it sound like we don't want her to get any time at all.
Okay, so tell me why 12 people thought that it was murder.
I just explained it. Tell me why 12 people said that OJ was innocent. Because I think they're morons. That's why, Kay. I appreciate the phone call. There are morons out there that are on juries. You cannot tell me that every person on this jury was correct that made the right decision. I think they went with their emotion. And yes, I think because there were 10 minorities on this jury, I absolutely think that plays a factor here, Kay. And by the way, I am on your side. When it comes to African Americans, as I call the injustice system, there is no question that African Americans are not treated the same as, say, a Caucasian who has money. There's no question about that. But what you just said is you want to give this woman murder because of all the injustices that have happened to African Americans in the past. That's ridiculous, and that's what you said, and that's absurd.
She wants to take facts out of the equation and insert race into the equation.
Yeah, that's a joke.
Race trumps everything else because in her mind, it's a makeup call for all the things that happened in the past.
That's exactly what she said, and you lose all credibility when you make a statement like that. And we're talking about this specific case.
That is a huge issue in the United States of America right now.
You're going to make one person pay because of what happened in the past? That's absurd.
Our race has nothing to do with this, and obviously she's making it seem like it does.
Well, she is, but I'm making it about race with the jurors that were on the jury pool here, that were the 5 African Americans and 5 Hispanics.
Every single case should be tried based on the facts of the case, and that did not take place here. And again, we're not suggesting that she shouldn't do any time. She should do 5 to 10 years, but she shouldn't get murder one for this.
257-5396 is the number to call. I believe Andrea is next. Andrea, thanks for calling in. What's on your mind?
What's up, Andrea?
Hi, yes, I am African American, and I am really appalled that there's going to be a lot of anger about this, but I'm appalled that black people, being black myself, but black people have this knee-jerk opinion when anyone is killed and it's a white person that kills them, whether the person has a gun and is pointing it at a police officer, if they're smoking crack, whatever that black person is doing, it's just quite all right.
Andrea, you're so right. And I know what you're saying. You're saying they assume not many, but a lot of, I guess you could say many of African Americans assume that when a police officer that is white shoots an African American, the police, it must be about race.
And that the police
and
officer is always at fault, and that the African Americans are doing nothing wrong.
You need to wake up because you're being used. You're being used, and you're not looking, and you're not listening. The press is using you. Everybody's using black people with this race word.
Mm-hmm.
And all black people better wake up, and they better see what's happening,
Mm-hmm.
or else half of us, or even more, are going to be dead. And the person that started this, it never happened before. You look back years ago, this never happened.
Right.
It was Obama that hypnotized black people, and he started using race cards on everything, and he has black people hypnotized. Black people are not angry when in Chicago there are so many black children. They never say a word.
Well, Andrea, you're right about this. I'll give you this. When I criticize Barack Obama, the biggest criticism I have is racial relations.
100%.
Andrea, I appreciate the call.
Great
You
call, Andrea.
made a lot of good points there. 257-5396 is the number to call. Who are we going to next, Johnny? Let's go to Evelyn. Evelyn, are you there? No, Evelyn is not the next caller. 257-5396 is the number to call. I believe Lauren is our next caller. Lauren, thank you for calling in to the Vegas Take. Lauren, what's going on?
Hi, Lauren.
Lauren, are you there? Go ahead.
I believe that it was the jury was made up of 5 Americans. I think what their ethnic background in this particular case makes absolutely no difference whatsoever.
So you're telling me that your position is that of the 12 jurors, 5 of them are black, 5 of them are Hispanic, and we have an African American that was killed. And based on all the evidence and most lawyers that will tell you that this is not murder, this is manslaughter, and yet you're telling me based on the verdict it has nothing to do with race. Is that your position?
I believe that the jurors were Americans. That's what I believe.
Oh,
I think there's been too much. I think there's been too much put on what someone's ethnicity is.
I totally agree. Identity politics has been a big issue, and we should all identify as Americans, but in this situation, that is not the case.
Okay, so make your case then, Lauren. Why did they convict her of murder?
Well, I think they convicted her of murder because, once she realized that she made the mistake, she did nothing to do to take care of the guy.
She certainly didn't do enough. She immediately called 911. She immediately stated the case. I believe her.
Did she do CPR?
She didn't do it. She didn't do it properly.
Did she contact her boyfriend?
Yes, she did. Yes, she did. Yeah, you're right about that. Her actions.
So her concern was not for him or the mistake that she made.
Right.
Her concern was for her.
And I agree with that, but that doesn't necessarily mean you're a murderer. It could mean you're just a selfish moron.
Oh, come on. If it was a black guy that did the same thing, he had been hung.
He would have been hung?
What?
I don't even know what that means.
You know what I mean. I mean,
Okay.
they would have given
That's a
him,
weird
they
statement.
would have done.
All right. Well, Lauren, listen, I appreciate the call. I just tend to disagree with you.
It was going very well until the end.
257-5396 is the number to call. Let's go to Kevin. Kevin, what's going on?
Hey, Kevin.
Hey, guys. Yeah, I guess your other customer, she blew me away with all this black people better wake up. She's clearly she's a nut job. But my question is this. All right, I have a long shift at work. I get off work after doing 12-hour shift, and I go to the bar and wrap some on, and then I go out and I drive, and I kill the chief of police.
Mm-hmm.
Right? What do you think that jury is going to charge me with if it's an all-white jury and the chief is well respected and loved in the community?
Well,
I'm going to get life for it. You guys they're going to take me to the woodshed for it.
Most likely, and guess what? I would have a problem with that too. Can I have a problem with both?
I think it depends on your BAC. Are you legally drunk? Are you .20?
I'm just gone.
Kevin, I understand.
Okay, I'm gone.
Kevin, I understand.
I'm drunk.
Okay,
You guys are making points about the jury and everything.
Yes. They're both Kevin. Can't they both be wrong? They're both wrong.
Yeah. Well, then you deal with the legal system, but you can't. I guarantee you this: when the sentencing comes down, she's going to get 6 years. She'll be out in 3. Okay. But you have to understand, this man still doesn't know why he died that day. He's eating ice cream in his house.
I agree.
He'll never know why he died.
Kevin, I agree.
She's going to do 3 years and be out.
Okay, Kevin, how many years do you think she deserves?
10 years.
I
off the top.
I totally agree. 10 years.
Okay, but
10 years.
I don't necessarily.
Not a minute less.
Okay, but okay. So if she got manslaughter, she should have gotten 10 years, and I would have been okay with that.
She wouldn't have gotten 10 years of manslaughter. She'd have got 2 years.
Probably.
You have to understand, you guys are going to take into consideration
Okay.
that she's a police officer.
Kevin.
You seem to think that they walk a higher path.
No,
You have
I
to
don't.
understand,
I
my
don't.
life- I'm sorry. Let me just finish.
Go ahead.
My life does matter. I do want to live. You do not have the right to take a life. And to say I was scared is no judgment.
Kevin.
I almost shot people coming through my door that were actually family
Kevin,
members.
I understand what you're
And-
saying. Kevin, let's hang on. I understand what you're saying, but there is a difference between premeditated murder, knowing that you're going to kill an innocent person, and in no way, shape, or form do I want to defend her, but there's a difference between premeditated murder, knowing you're going to kill somebody, and going into an apartment because you're a moron and thinking that you're in another apartment. I don't believe she wanted to kill an innocent person that day. Now, she acted selfishly after. She didn't perform CPR properly. She's an idiot. She's selfish.
And those are the areas that which pushed it out of manslaughter. She failed in the basics. If that was a police officer that she accidentally shot, she'd be busting her butt to get that cop some help.
Well, I don't. Well, we're making a gross assumption, Kevin. I appreciate the call, but I don't necessarily. I'm not going to make that assumption.
And if you were grossly intoxicated driving a vehicle and you hit anybody, not just the chief of police, you should definitely go down for that. That's a huge issue.
Why don't we go to Sid? Sid, you're next on the Vegas Take. By the way, the number to call 257-5396. Sid, what do you think about this?
Hey guys,
What's up, Sid?
I was reading an article on this case just a couple days ago, and there's no way I thought she would get murder out of this.
No, neither did I. Neither did I. We agree.
I looked at it and I said, this definitely, she has to be punished. Even if she thought to herself, this is my apartment and this guy's an intruder. I mean, under that rationale, she should be able to shoot somebody, right? But since she did make that mistake, I think that pushes it to manslaughter. I don't know. I thought she would get the benefit of the doubt because she was a woman and a police officer. But yeah, they hammered her down.
Well,
so I was shocked.
I just don't understand people that just make assumptions like that last caller. They assume that, if that was a police officer that she shot, she would have done CPR and she wouldn't have called her boyfriend. I'm not so sure about that. I think she is a very selfish individual. I don't feel sorry for her, but at the same time, nobody can convince me based on the evidence that she just decided to kill an innocent person that day. The evidence does not support that, Sid.
Well, you're right. And after the fact really doesn't have anything to do with the act as far as...
Well, it does. It does, though. No, it does.
You can look at it in sentencing, but not as far as manslaughter or murder.
Well, Sid, listen.
Freaked out.
Sid,
No,
I
agree with that.
Hold on, Sid. If she got up and she left the room and she didn't call 911, you're damn right that would have been
Well, that's consciousness of guilt stuff. But I mean, if she fled the scene, that would make it worse, and that would make an additional charge.
Right. But she didn't do
that.
I
mean, just realistically,
she was freaking out. She was freaking out.
And I find it interesting that our callers are kind of making it seem like we think she should do nothing. No, we're saying she should do 5 to 10 years. Absolutely.
Yeah. But she shouldn't have been convicted of murder.
But murder one's a totally different conversation.
It was a mistake. It was an absolute mistake. Sid, thank you for the call.
All right, guys. Thanks.
We appreciate it. 257-5396. Let's go to David. David, you're next on the Vegas Take. What do you think about this case?
What's up, David?
Hey, man. In life, you only get one. So a man lost his life. Regardless of how it happened, the person who hurt him is now on trial. The way I see it, this is murder.
So if I go through a stop sign, accidentally and I kill you, should I be charged with murder?
No, because you didn't intentionally kill me.
So what evidence do you have that she intentionally wanted to break into somebody's apartment and kill them?
You're a cop.
Just because doesn't matter. The law is the same for a police officer or you or me. The laws are the same. What evidence do you have that she intentionally tried to kill this person, that she intentionally wanted to murder this person, cop or not? What evidence do you have based on this case that she did that?
She's trained to...
You're not answering the question. You're not answering the question.
I will say this. If she lived in a different apartment complex and she didn't live here, and if she wasn't one floor below, it would be, again, I would say, okay, fine. Maybe she had sent a text message to her boyfriend that she was going to do something heinous. But in this situation, she lived at the same place. She lived a floor below. I mean, it's plausible.
Listen, David,
it's plausible enough for it not to be murder.
David, listen. I'm on your side. I understand what you're trying to say here. This is a horrible tragedy. This guy loses his life. He did absolutely nothing wrong. I feel horrible for him, his family, and friends. I want this woman to go to jail. We both do. Make no mistake about that. All I'm trying to say is the evidence does not support murder. Just like if it was DUI, right? You made a horrible decision to get in your car and put everyone's lives at risk. You killed somebody. It's manslaughter, but it's not murder. If somebody gets drunk for the first time, and one time is too many, and God forbid you kill somebody, I don't want you convicted of murder. I want you convicted of manslaughter.
Now, some states it is murder.
But I don't agree with that. And this is one of those situations, David, where I actually do agree with that.
I think that if you get yourself so intoxicated that you literally cannot drive a vehicle, and you have a 1 or 2 ton vehicle driving 50 to 80 or 100 miles an hour that can kill as many people as possible, you should absolutely be convicted of murder in those situations.
David, I appreciate the call. We got to take a break. We'll be back right after this. You're listening to The Vegas Take.
Right now, the day's biggest news stories from a Vegas perspective. This is the Vegas Take with Sharp and Shapiro.
All right, welcome back. It is the Vegas Take, Sharp and Shapiro. We're going to take a few phone calls. Coming up next, though, we have Kerry Buboltz, who's the Golden Knights president, going to be joining us. But we're talking about this Guyger trial, Amber Guyger. I almost said Matt Guyger. Remember him? Philadelphia 76ers, former NBA player.
You mean Miami Heat?
And Miami Heat, yes.
Okay,
but we'll take a few quick phone calls on this one in regards to the Guyger trial. She has been convicted of murder. Let's start with Brian. Brian, what's going on?
Hey, gentlemen.
Hey, Brian.
I'm on as both of you. You guys are spot on this. And the top of the hour news we just listened to shows what the real problem is. You've got race hustler attorney Benjamin Crump, same guy that raced into Trayvon Martin case, same guy that raced to Michael Brown's case, and now he's out there shouting from the rooftops, this is justice. Like your previous caller said, it's payback time. And that's what he's doing. He's cheerleading right now. As somebody who has accidentally walked into my neighbor's apartment, just like this gal did, it's a scary feeling, I'm telling you, but it happens when you're not paying attention, when you're tired, and you know, these things can take place.
That said, though, you agree with us, though, this is certainly involuntary manslaughter. She deserves some jail time. Yeah.
Her life is over.
Right.
The poor guy that got shot, I mean, he was doing absolutely nothing wrong.
Yeah.
But you've also got to reconsider now, too, is she's a trained police officer. People that have been talking and calling this morning, they don't realize the room was dark. She didn't know what his race was.
No, we're in agreement.
There were no lights on there or anything like that.
We're in agreement here, and nobody can tell me that you have 10 minorities on the jury of 12, and that doesn't take. That's not taken into account.
That's a very valid point. The room was dark.
Yeah.
What time was it?
Let me share one other thing. The other caller before the break, last half hour, said show me one case of a black officer shooting a white officer.
Happens all the time.
The very week that Michael Brown was shot in Salt Lake City, Utah, a black officer shot and killed a 20-year-old man at a 7-Eleven. And it's exactly what you stated earlier, Brian. He did not comply with the officer's commands, and it's on videotape. You can see it on YouTube.
No, I already knew that, Brian, and I'm glad you brought that up. But, yeah, it happens all the time. The person who called in was certainly not educated on this issue. Brian, we appreciate the phone call. Thank you very much. 257-5396. Why don't we go to Charles? Charles, you're next on the Vegas Take. Go ahead.
Well, you got a couple of things here, like the gentleman said. We kind of hold our police officers to a higher standard, first of all. Most of us don't come home at night, with a loaded weapon in our possession. Here's my problem. What constitutes premeditation? Of course, she did not get up that day saying, I'm going to go out and shoot an innocent person. But did she decide when she saw the door open, believing it was her unit, and your news report, the way they just reported, was she burst through the door and opened fire? Did she decide... Did she premeditate?
I don't believe that
she was going to shoot whoever was inside.
Yeah, I don't believe that.
Because how dare... and I don't know. I didn't sit on the jury. I'm not familiar with all the facts of the case. Is it possible the jury could have justified the murder conviction by decide, like, legally speaking, what constitutes premeditation? How far in advance of the act... Mm-hmm. Premeditated.
I can't wait, Charles, to be able to get the answers to those questions, and I would hope some of these jurors will answer those questions, Charles. And those are very legitimate questions that you're asking. And, yeah, we all don't have the answers to that, but hopefully we will soon, and we'll talk about it again tomorrow morning. Charles, thank you for the phone call. Why don't we take one more quick phone call, then we got to get to break, and we have the Golden Knights president on the line. We don't want to keep him waiting much longer. Let's take one more quick call from Carl. Carl, what's going on?
What's up, Carl?
Carl, did we lose you? All right, let's take a break. All right, so here's what we're going to do. We're going to take a quick break. When we come back, Kerry Buboltz is on the line. He is the Golden Knights president. You know, the Golden Knights have been such a fantastic and huge part of this community, certainly with the October 1 shootings that took place 2 years ago. It's amazing how the community came together, and the Golden Knights are doing some amazing things this morning in honoring the victims, the families, the first responders. We'll talk to the Golden Knights president coming up next about that. You're listening to the Vegas Tape.